It's Tuesday morning again. Get ready to waffle. Special guest, Chef Daniel Pliska. Can't wait to introduce him to you. We'll be back right after this.
Very cool.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I'm super excited. I've known Chef Daniel for 4 or 5 years now.
Very cool.
We'll talk about how that happened a little bit later. But before we get into that, I just got exciting news I got to share.
Okay.
I got a new grand nephew.
Yay!
We're gonna see if we can show his picture. That's
Aw.
Ollie Garrett. That's
Ollie's adorable.
Keaton and Dory's new baby. He's about 2 days old.
That's so wonderful.
now.
I'm so happy for them.
I am too.
I saw that announcement. I was like, yay! They're a sweet couple. Neat people.
Yeah, he's going to be a lot of fun. But
Oh, yeah.
now, turning to our guest, Chef Daniel. How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah,
Good.
Thanks,
How are you?
We're good.
thanks for joining us. I really
Yeah.
appreciate you coming
it's
out
my
here
pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
early in the morning.
This
so
is cool.
you shared with me early or late last week about your new blog, new website that you've got up, and I was like, we want to tell people about this. So-
Absolutely.
So first of all, introduce yourself to our viewers and
Yeah.
Sure. Well, again, my name is Daniel Pliska. I'm a executive chef, retired, semi-retired. I teach full-time now over at Ozark Technical Community College. I teach, been teaching over there for 7 years now. I teach all the advanced culinary classes and run the student-run restaurant. And I've been fortunate to have traveled and worked all over the country and in Europe, and I'm an author, and I just started a website to kind of get my message out about how to live well through good cooking, cooking for others, culinary and pastry arts, gardening to table, and just nutritious techniques of how to use food from your garden and
That's awesome.
improve your diet.
All of that sounds amazing.
And there's Beth. Good. Hi, Beth.
Hey, Beth,
I was
good
telling
morning.
Chef Daniel before we started, I was like, okay, we've got some regular viewers, and if we don't hear from Beth, we're going to be concerned.
We're going to send in
Beth, we
a team.
appreciate you checking in with us. And specifically, before we got on the air, when we were talking, you talked a lot about how people sometimes try to do their home cooking or cook from their garden, and they just don't have a good experience with that. And you aim to correct that.
Well, yes, like we were talking about, I mean, we are blessed with a great agricultural community here and have just great, land, and we can grow a lot of things. It's a good temperate zone. Some weather issues, we all know about those. We're not
Oh, yeah.
gonna talk about that. But,
Yeah.
the thing is when a lot of people are very good at gardening, and I wouldn't say I'm new at it, but I have a pretty big backyard garden, and I've been doing it for about 6 or 7 years. I have 12 garden beds and a small greenhouse.
That's pretty big.
So
That's big.
Yeah.
and it's just me and my wife. Our children have moved on and moved out, and so a lot of people, what they do is they get a lot of food, and they don't know what to do with it, you know.
Yes.
So it's like, oh my gosh, I got to eat chard again, or
Yeah.
or how many different ways do we have to have zucchini? Before
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say,
sick
people
of it,
always
you
bringing
know,
in the
or-
baskets of zucchini to work. Here,
Yeah.
what's zucchini?
The ding dong
Yeah.
ditch zucchini drop.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So and so that's one of the things about I'm trying to get that message out there, because I feel that a lot of people, and we all see this, are suffering from nowadays from poor diet related diseases, chronic issues, hypertension, diabetes, obesity, and all different kinds of diseases. And a lot of it has to do with the diet related things. And so if we can eat better food from our garden and make it palatable and make it exciting, then people will eat better, and then they'll be more healthy. And nowadays it's a lot of people have forgotten how to cook, and so that's one of the main messages I'm trying to get out. Not the only one. I have other messages as well on my site, because it's all about cooking, pastry, writing. I write about a lot of different restaurants in Missouri, and
That's cool.
and former staff and people that have moved on and they're chefs on their own or owners all over the state. For Missouri Life magazine, I write a column called Fine Dining for them as well. So there's a lot of
very
different
cool.
things in there about that. But the gardening thing, again, we all know about the farm to table thing,
Yeah.
but I think that if people can understand, like tomatoes, for example,
Sure.
My wife, after a while, she gets sick of tomatoes, and she tells me, she says, I don't want to hear any more about tomatoes. But what I do is I grow these different kinds of tomatoes, and I make different sauces and make different things with them, and I save them so that I can enjoy the food from the garden all year long. So preserving it, and then learning all these different things you can do. With the things that you grow is paramount to being able to eat healthier and just enjoy it. Because if you don't like it, then you're not going to eat it.
Yeah.
and
exactly.
your last newsletter, you gave us a tomato sauce recipe, which is I'm looking forward to making that, because we do. My wife, she's got tomatoes. She grows in the garden, but she grows a lot of spices too. So we've got homegrown basil and thyme and oregano and rosemary, all that we've grown too. Plus around here, we've got a lot of local produce, beef, pork, and all that too. We joined up with the little farm store. We need to have them on here too.
They're cool. Yeah, it's a neat
we need to get
deal.
them
It's
on
a
here
real neat
sometime.
deal. Yeah.
So every week we order. We don't have to order every week, but we tend to order every week, and so we can get eggs and chicken, beef, pork, all kinds of stuff that's all locally grown. It doesn't have all the vaccinations and treatments and all that stuff that comes from processed meat. So we've really kind of enjoyed that, because we've made some whole meals recently. In fact, probably we often do, that everything we're eating has never left the
Local.
state of Missouri.
That's
It's
wonderful.
always
That's
been out
awesome.
here.
That's awesome.
That's an impressive thing to do. It really is, because the resources are out there, but it does take some effort to get to them, and it takes a change in habit, and often that is the hardest thing for people, is to change their habits. And so, I mean, it's great. It's like, we were talking before our air. I made schnitzel last night from our friend Emma, that Copper Top Legacy Farm, and tough, unique flower farmer. I mean, she's our buddy, and I've been buying pork from her for several years now, and it's amazing. I mean, it's a totally different product, and I find myself with a freezer full of all kinds of components of the animal. And so I have to figure out a way to use them, because I don't want them to go to waste. So lots of good stuff.
And like what we do, what we like is, so I love chicken thighs and chicken wings. And so we get the chicken wings, they're the whole wing. You got the tip, you got the drummy, you got the flat and all that. Well, you got to fabricate that. So you got to cut them all up. And then so I'll make my wings, but then I'm left with all these chicken wing tips. Well, I make stock out of it every time.
Exactly.
I have frozen stock in the refrigerator, and my wife's making made a squash soup over the weekend with all that squash and zucchini
stuff,
left over from the weekend. And she goes to the refrigerator, and we had a carton of Swanson's chicken stock in there, and it was about half full. And she's like, "When did we last use this?" It's like, I don't know. So she's like, we didn't want to use that.
Yeah.
But I had the stock that I'd made that was in the freezer. She just thaws it out, and boom, she's got her soup base right from that.
Very
So
handy.
It's really cool to be able to do that, yourself, and it's not really even that hard.
No.
And I kind of like that about your mission, Chef, is just kind of educating people to be able to do that themselves, because it's intimidating when you've never done it before. Hey,
Yeah.
Emma. Yep. Or Beth, hi. Yeah, Emma
Emma
is
is
awesome.
awesome, yes.
Yeah, we agree.
Emma's going to be open. The Flower Outpost is going to be open in the Apple Market parking lot this Saturday.
Oh, okay.
9 to 4 she opens. Mum's the word. Go get your mums there. So I'm excited for her to be back open. But no, it is, and it's. I think a lot of people are intimidated by like true home cooking.
Right.
It can be
right.
hard. It's a process.
Well, and I talk about in my classes that too. I mean, years ago we used to, a lot more people would eat like that because you almost had to. There wasn't as much availability.
Oh, yeah.
And nowadays it seems, and nothing against this, but it seems that a lot of people are really into spice now, like heat spice, like capsicum. So they think that food is good if it's like burns their tongue off or whatever. And it's like, that's not really. I mean, it can be good food. Don't get me wrong. If you layer it properly, you can make some great food, and people love the taste of that. But a lot of times, just bringing out the natural flavors of food and then mixing them with, like you were saying, meat. Which, by the way, I go by the Bavarian saying that meat is the best vegetable. So
You and me both.
I don't know if you've heard that before, but I'm a, just because I'm talking about vegetables, it doesn't mean I'm a carnivore.
That's what I've
I
always-
love beef and
Oh, yeah.
chicken
That's what I
and
was saying.
lamb and
Vegan food is great if you put a little meat with it.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It really comes alive when you-
No, and so, but I do believe that if we eat more vegetables with our meat, and less refined carbohydrates,
Yes.
we are going to be a lot more healthy. And so, getting those flavors, like you were saying about the stock. So, and you have to forgive me. I'm passionate about this. I'm
Good.
going on.
That's exactly
No,
what we're wanting.
This will be
We're also
50. I've been in the
passionate
business
about
since this will be 50 years for me,
Yeah.
next year. So, and I'm just as passionate today. And I still, my wife says I'm obsessed, and I have to admit I am obsessed. I'm an obsessed
Good
chef,
thing to be obsessed about.
But when it comes to that, building the flavors, like you're saying, like chicken wings, and those make excellent stock, by the way. But if you build those, that's a base. You can really build good flavors. Just for example, on the chard, I'm working on a recipe, which we're going to serve on our student-run restaurant, by the way. So it's
Very cool.
It's a Swiss chard, ricotta, zucchini, manicotti with tomato sauce
That sounds
and
good.
2 different types of cheeses on top of that.
That
So
sounds
it's
really
You know,
good.
when you think about that, it's if you like lasagna, you're going to like that. And you can serve that, as a vegetarian dish, or you can put something else with that. Another thing, I just did a video not too long ago. With we know about cauliflower rice, right? You guys have
Oh,
heard
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
So this is not cauliflower rice, but what I do is I take the cauliflower, break them into little pieces, and then I cook some brown rice, and then I stir fry the cauliflower with garlic,
Be
the
good.
brown rice, cashews, and fresh scallions.
That'd be
And-
really
and
good.
it's just really, really tasty. So you're getting the cauliflower, you're eating less of a refined carbohydrate with the brown rice. You're getting less rice, and you're getting another vegetable. So you put a vegetable on the side of that, and then put that with like a roast chicken or like a pork chop
That's
or
a
a
really good-
schnitzel
really
or
good
whatever
idea.
you're going to put that with. You're cutting down on your refined carbohydrates. Which is, we're not built to have that much as we eat now.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
we eat more. You'll get more vegetables in your diet. So that's
a great tip.
Those are just a couple things, and so I'm always trying to look at those types of things, and like we were saying, tomatoes. I'm thinking about maybe writing a vignette, if you will, or a small book on like tomatoes, or maybe an ebook, because I do a lot of things. I make like little tomato from the Roma tomatoes, the plum tomatoes, which you get a lot of, right?
Yeah.
I make like a tomato confit, so I slow cook it in olive oil in the oven with garlic and fresh thyme from my garden.
I'm getting
and
really hungry.
I know, me too.
I'm drooling.
And then what I do is I take them out and I put them on like a nonstick baking mat, and I turn the heat up, and so it becomes kind of like a sun-dried tomato,
Yep.
but not all the way. It's kind of still juicy, but really rich in flavor because it's roasted.
That would be good.
And I put that on like a crustade with like goat cheese and garlic, and then I put different toppings on it, like fried capers or prosciutto ham or Kalamata olives. And so that's just a really good appetizer. So that's just one little tomato thing I do with tomatoes. I do a lot of different things because I'm blessed to have worked and trained, in Germany and New Orleans. I'm from the Washington D.C. area, Michelin star restaurants, and I've been blessed to have seen a lot. So I want to share that knowledge with other people, and especially about how to cook better, how to
Yeah.
live better, and how to to enjoy, if for lack of a better term, the joy of cooking and cooking for others.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. I mean, it does. And you're obviously very passionate about it, which, I mean, I think food and family are my two things I'm most well, I guess we'll throw God in there too, but I'm most
And
passionate.
TV, and live stream TV.
Yeah, live stream TV, and the waffle. I mean, those are my like top things that I'm always thinking about. If I'm not thinking about like my family or work or whatever, I'm probably thinking about food. And And I mean, it is. You know what blows my mind in modern, because I don't eat out every meal, but I do love different, like Thai foods. My favorite things to get for lunch.
Yeah, we got Beth going now, so.
She's like, look, yeah. So, but it amazes me the amount of to-go orders that go out of restaurants now through Grubhub and different places. It's kind of mind-blowing. And I'm like, which is great for the restaurants, because it's a lot easier for a restaurant to send out a to-go order than have to deal with the table of people. Right. I understand that. But I'm like, golly, that's a ton of money. And it goes out the door, and it's like, I just can't believe it. It kind of blows my mind.
Well, and it's kind of interesting because that's a real culture shift in Springfield, I think. Because do you remember way back when there's that weird structure over there right off of Glenstone Primrose? It was a Mitsubishi dealership. I think it may be a Mexican restaurant now. But they had the big fork out in front of it at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole place was designed to be
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You go there, you get your food, and you take it.
Yeah, it's Prima's now is what it is.
Yeah, that's right. But that was such a different culture than what Springfield was 20 years ago.
It didn't work.
It didn't work.
No.
Because everybody wanted to come in. Everybody thought it was a restaurant. They wanted to come and sit down and eat. And they had tables, and you could sit and eat there.
Get to go.
But that wasn't what they were designed to be. So the concept didn't work because that wasn't our culture. But now I think maybe it
totally
would.
Is. And
I mean, DoorDash should be all over that place.
All over it. And Springfield is an eat-out culture. I mean, we all know that it has more restaurants per capita than most places.
Mm-hmm.
And people who live here and then go other places are like, we have a lot of restaurants.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot. And there's a lot of, and the variety is more and more and more than it used to be, which I think is great, because I love trying different food from different cultures and ethnicities. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite things to do. But yeah, this to go, it just blows my mind, because for me, I'm like, I want to go eat food that's fresh, that I've been set down right in front of me at that moment, and it's hot and ready to go. I don't like stuff out of
Well, there's something about the presentation too.
Yeah.
You got to understand. I mean, especially as a chef, I tell my students and I teach them. I say, well, when it comes to eating and dining, taste is king, but presentation is queen.
Oh yeah.
So how is it going to look in a to-go box that's been jumped around in a bag in someone's car coming to your house? I mean, there's just no presentation, and we eat with everyone knows we eat with our eyes first. So if it doesn't look good, it's not going to be an experience. And there's just something about, that's why some restaurants, and in fact, I used to work when I was at the Capital City Club in Raleigh, North Carolina. All of our dishes that came in the dining room were covered with glass domes. So when it comes out, and then the domes were uncovered, with the synchronized timing, when the servers brought them to your table. So when you see that, you build up the anticipation. You don't know what's underneath there, and you take off the dome, and the aroma comes off of it, and it's just that's part of dining, and how that's gonna just make an impression on you. I tell my students, I said, we're chefs and we're cooks, and you're trained to be chefs and trained to be cooks. They're not yet, but they're training to do that. But really what the business, especially in hospitality, we're in the wow business,
Yes.
So how do you get wow out of a bag from a DoorDash?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I do understand,
It's
time
a
is,
different thing.
and people like that. But I also tell them something. The person that's going to make a pill where you can take it in your car on the way to the soccer game, and it fills you up and gives you nutrition, fills up your stomach so you're not hungry anymore. That person is going to be a gazillionaire, because it seems like a lot of people just don't appreciate dining. So we need to get back to that, because that's part of living.
And
really,
where did it is. It's very important. Beth talked about having a grilled chicken with pimento spread. That sounds good. So how? Yeah, it first of all, it creates a ton of trash too, right? There's a ton of waste that goes along with to-go orders, and it's like, it's a social thing. And I'm not completely against to-go orders. Sometimes you just have to eat to-go, but
right.
We need to bring people back into those social settings. Like it's important to be around eating a meal with people, and I don't know. I think it's a little. I don't know. I don't think it's a good shift in culture and society for food. And I think it's important to be having dining experiences with people. Same reason that, if when my kids first started taking the kids out to eat, we didn't stick a phone in their face for them to be entertained at the restaurant.
Right.
We knew we call it prison rules. We got about 20 minutes to eat and get out of here. So, plan accordingly before a kid melts down. But kids need to learn to sit at a table and, be quiet or talk until food comes and eat. And, you should be able to do that. You shouldn't have to be entertained by a phone.
Well, to some extent, I think that even our restaurants were lacking that sort of, I don't know if I want to call it refinement culture, but a lot of restaurants, particularly your chain ones, your Applebee's, your TGI Fridays, or Chili's or whatever, you've got as many tables as you can get crammed together as close as you possibly can, and everybody's talking and everybody's moving fast, and you don't sort of get that sit back, relaxed atmosphere. I mean, there's some great restaurants that have that you do get that, but even that's a little different.
Well, there's a time for that. Just like there is a need, and people, I'm not saying like you said, I'm not totally against to-go food or that. I mean, that's okay. Sometimes you just might want to, just chill out and just watch TV and just kind of eat and not really care about it that much. Your food is more about just relaxing.
Yeah.
But I mean, money's becoming tight too, and you're paying extra for that. And if we think about it. If we really think about it, cooking with your family and your friends is an experience in itself too.
Absolutely.
This is how we improve our social structure and our conversations. People are wondering why they're losing the art of conversation and of talking about our lives. It's during those quiet times, those little times. I'm not saying it's quiet cooking, but it's during those times of just cooking together, and then you can interact with your family or your children or your friends, and so there's that too. So the whole thing about dining and cooking and enjoying the art of food and enjoying good food and eating for health. These are the things that I think are the blessings that I've had and experienced with, and I've found has really helped me in success in my life, and I'm trying to pass a lot of that through on my website and with messages.
It's amazing for you to have done it this long and still have like you said, the same excitement like from the beginning. That's impressive. It's a rare thing to have in a career, so it's really cool.
Yeah, that's one thing that you kind of mentioned there. So one of the things that my wife and I've kind of discovered now that we're sort of empty net. Well, we're empty nest now.
Yeah.
Kids are out with that.
Yeah.
Is we found things that we like to do together. So we like to play music together. I've been teaching her to play bass guitar, so now she plays with me.
Nice.
When we play, yeah. I bought her an acoustic bass. It looks like a regular dreadnought guitar, but it's an acoustic bass.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So we've got that. We've been playing poker.
Yeah.
So we play a little Texas Hold'em, but we cook together too. We'll do some meals together. We've got some things we'll cook together. Of course, there's always that two people in the kitchen. You're always bumping into each other.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Well, that's where you got to divide up the work. You say, you make the salad, I'll make the entree, or you make the dessert, and I'll make the entree, or whatever,
we
and
do a lot of
and
Well, it's going to get better with the outdoor kitchen because she doesn't like to fry anything inside the house.
Yeah.
Because the grease goes everywhere.
Right.
So I've got those griddles out there, and I've got grease hoods over them too. So
That's cool.
When we do the crab cakes, I can fry them outside there. So that'll help a little bit too.
Nice.
I want to go back and talk a little bit more about your website because I've been to it and I joined it, and there is a crazy amount of stuff on there. I mean, it's just packed full of stuff. So tell us a little more about.
Yeah. So like I said, I just started this my newest endeavor. I had a hobby blog where I would put because I am a writer, part-time writer. I'm not really a writer. I should say. I'm a chef who writes, so everything is chef first. I'm a chef who teaches. I'm a chef who does pastry. I'm a chef who gardens. So that's kind of.
I'm a lawyer who cooks.
But I've written a lot of articles and I've put a lot of things in there. So you can go to my website and you can join up for free, and you can sign up for I send out a quarterly newsletter where I'll send out some recipes and some different things and then or you can get full access to the whole site and all my blogs, which I change, and exclusive mailings and recipes for the low cost of $6 a month. Cancel at any time if you want to, and so that just helps me cover the costs and my time and such.
Oh yeah.
But it's another way for me to get the word out there about that. There's a lot of photos on there. There's links. So, I mean, one of the things I'm going to be sending out, this is kind of a little hush-hush thing that's going to be coming out. I'm going to send out like a list of my favorite food movies. And chef movies.
Fun.
And some of those you can find, and some of them you may not have seen before. Wow. I mean, one of them is like Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, which is in Mandarin, but it has just incredible Chinese cooking scenes, and it's an award-winning movie. But so there's I'm sending. So those are the kind of things I send out and I put on there, as well as past articles.
I get it. I am fascinated by Chinese cooking. Like, I really am. It is such an interesting. I got a cookbook.
I got that cookbook. I got that same one you got.
oh my
They got it for free. I have
gosh.
yet to dive into
It's a
it.
test kitchen cookbook, and it's what's it called? I can't think of the name of it.
It's those two guys that had the show.
Yep, I can't think of the name of it, but it's authentic Chinese food.
It's intimidating. It's what it is.
Oh, man.
Well, it's totally different. I mean,
It is totally
Eastern
different.
cooking is totally different.
Holy
so,
moly.
I teach a class called World Cuisine, so we go through different regions of the world every week, and then we make a huge buffet of all these different foods. And so one of the things I talk about in my World Cuisine class, and which I've been fortunate again because I've some of the places I work just like, obviously outside the country where no one's speaking English. In other words, in big hotels where no one speaks English because it's all different, like it's like
Yeah.
a microcosm of the world.
Sure.
In some of these like international hotels that I've been in, and so the in World Cuisine, we look at things, and I think of this. I tell them to imagine it in three different ways. One is authentic. So we have authentic Chinese food, right? So that is very difficult to do. Any authentic food is difficult to do because
yeah.
you have to go to the country, and it has to be cooked by the people that are from there, get using the ingredients that they know. So that's authentic. So we think about that. And so I tell my students that's difficult to do. So what I usually do is I call my food in the style of. So if I'm making Chinese
That's a good
food,
way to put
it's
it.
in the style of. So that way you won't get anybody saying, "Hey, that's not how my grandmother does it," or "That's not how we eat it in let's say we're cooking food from Brazil. That's not how we eat it in Sao Paulo or Brasilia
Yeah.
or Rio de Janeiro or in Peru or wherever it is where the food comes from." And then there's the one that's very popular now. So this is the big thing, and that's fusion.
Yes.
Okay, so fusion is becoming more and more popular. And but I tell my students, that can be good if you know how to do it.
Sure.
There's that term, and I don't know if you've heard this or not, but it's called confusion fusion.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that
Yes,
term before?
I have heard that. Yeah.
Okay. So that's like when people go into a restaurant and they have like a name and they say, okay, we're going to do this Pan Asian or whatever that is, but they start putting all these dishes together, and they've lost what they're trying to communicate to their
Yep.
guests through their food, and their guests don't really know what they're getting, so they get confused, and then sometimes the people aren't really thoroughly versed in how to cook these dishes,
Yep.
and so it just becomes kind of a
kind of a
lackluster
mess.
and a
It's
mess.
kind of a
Yeah.
mess,
So
yeah.
so that's if you think about that through the pretense of work cuisine, when you say Chinese cooking, I mean that's super broad. I mean that's very
Well,
old, and there's many
yes.
many different styles and many different techniques, and in the Western world here, specifically in culinary schools, we mostly teach like the French classical cooking, okay, which is
Yep.
codified. So that's codified, and it's also what's considered one of the grand cuisine. So the term for that is called haute cuisine, just like we think of like haute couture. Haute couture is like the big hairstyles and so on and so forth that
Okay.
people have.
Yep.
So the fancy, the really high-end foods, and there's just so much volume in French cooking, and they're so codified, and that's what we teach because that is really the basis of a lot of Western cooking, and then other
Sure.
European cooking as well. It's, continental cooking and so on and so forth, which is Italian, which is again is another grand cuisine. It can take you all your life to learn just all the different
yeah.
types of Italian dishes there are, and the French took a lot of stuff from Italy as well, as we all know. There's a lot of going back and forth, and there's all the history of food. So, but back to your thing about the Chinese cooking and that type of cooking. So recently, I've just gotten a air fryer. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Jump on the air fryer.
yeah.
train.
So I do like an Asian spiced Thai style air fryer chicken wings
That sounds
over
really good.
like a rice noodle salad, And
Yep.
in the rice noodle salad, it can be simple or it can be complex. But this is the way you can use vegetables from your garden too. So a lot of people don't realize that. Zucchini and squash, most people like to cut them on half or in lengths, and they get all the pithy seeds in the inside. Well, a lot of times I'll take a mandolin or I'll cut the outer parts. So I just get the outer parts and cut it very, very thin, and then I'll mix those with my noodles, or I'll cut them very small, and I'll put that in my dumplings when I make like Chinese pot stickers.
Yep.
Or wontons or anything like that. So you can use your vegetables to get more vegetables in the product, and if the flavor profile is strong, like Chinese cooking,
We had a
you
zoodle
can do
machine
that.
one time.
Yeah, a zoodle machine.
You stick
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the cucumber or the zucchini in it, and it makes noodles out of
Yeah,
it.
they were pretty good.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, the thing is, you got to get the zucchini at the right time, because
Yeah.
when the zucchini gets bigger, then you get all the pithy seeds.
Yep.
So so you got to get them when they're basically about 6 inches long and about maybe like 3/4 of an inch to an inch around.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
don't get a lot of seed in there because that's kind
That
of
just
like,
messes
it
it
tastes
up.
kind of like
we
cardboard, you know.
letting
Yeah.
us go a little too long because we get some good size.
Yeah. The big zucchinis are, I think, not ideal for cooking, but they happen really quick, like overnight.
Yeah,
They're like boom.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
exactly,
you make zucchini
exactly.
bread out of.
Keep your eye on them. Oh boy.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
good.
I could
Now
talk
you,
about food
you
all
brought
day.
your book too, so let's, if you don't mind, let's
Sure.
dive into that just a little bit more.
I'm going to put it up there. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
It's a great
How's that,
cover.
huh? Yeah.
And is available on Amazon, but it's
Right.
available on your website, and you'll sign it if they.
Yep, I'll sign it and I'll
That's
send
cool.
out added recipes with that as well. So this book, Will, was kind of the compilation of, because I worked as a pastry chef, and that's when I went to Germany and traveled through Europe to learn baking and pastries. And then I was a pastry chef for about full-time for 3 years. And then later on, when I got back as in the executive chef realm, that was basically one of my specialties, so I could do that a lot more things. So my book is kind of built on the pretense of like 12 basic things. So if you learn how to make creme anglaise, which is the base of ice cream, vanilla sauce, you learn how to make pastry cream, which is really what's supposed to go inside of eclairs and long
That's the good
johns and
stuff.
stuff like that. If you learn how to make pie dough, pot au choux, or cream puffs, if you learn how to make buttercream and all this. So these basics, ganache, which is chocolate and cream cooked together, you learn these basics. Once you get really good at them and learn the different ways to do that, you can build desserts around. There's also a big section in there about savory pastries because, and I tell my students and I try to get the word out there that a lot of people think if you're going to be a pastry chef, you just do the sweet stuff, which we all love sweet stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love chocolate. I'm a chocoholic. I'm going to admit that. I'm coming out right now. I'm a chocoholic. So
You heard it here.
Yeah, you heard it here. You know. So, but savory pastries is really big. So all the different like savory pastry options you can make by learning pastries, whether that's tarts or little strudels or different kinds of cream puffs that are filled with different things. If you learn to do that, you can get other courses involved in there, and you can still do pastries. I tell my students, if you look around, like let's take Springfield example, how many places do you think you can go to make really nice pastries? There's not that many job offers out there.
No,
But
there's really not in Springfield.
There's
Yeah.
not. But if you want to do pastries, let's say you graduate from a program or you become good at pastries, and you say, hey, I'm going to go into this cafe. Maybe there's one in Rogersville where it does home cooking, and you go in and say, hey, I can make for you besides your biscuits and gravy. I can also make these quick breads. I can make these little coffee cakes. I can make different kinds of biscuits. I can do different kinds of pastries, turnovers and stuff. So you're doing pastries, but then you're adding savory things to them. So you're still doing pastries. You can do that. So that's one of the pretenses. And then also have a lot of signature desserts and things about chocolate in there too, and understanding about chocolate. So it's really meant to teach pastry for professionals, but there's a lot of home recipes and things you can get out of that as well. But there's secrets in this book.
Well, I think
Because it's been a long time that I worked on
yeah,
it.
I
It's like
bet.
10 years to get it, to get it, 4 years in production. 4 years in
Goodness.
production. So
We're
I'm
gonna
gonna
have to
get
run
a
you down
copy
to
of it for
our,
my daughter.
Yeah, we're gonna have to run you down to our friend Sue's place.
Oh, at
down
Time to
here
Loaf?
at Time
Yeah.
to Loaf.
Okay.
I'm lucky.
okay.
I'm a realtor, and we share an office with a bakery. We have a shared building.
Well, that's kind of scary.
It's awesome.
Yeah, you got to watch
And-
your calorie intake from that.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah,
It's been a while, so I've learned to adapt.
If you're not
but-
busy Thursday morning, just pop in down there
Yeah.
about 8. We all sit around a table and drink coffee and eat Sue's stuff every
It's
Thursday
great.
morning.
Nice,
about
She
8.
makes home. I mean, she does it all. Everything dough wise is from scratch. So sourdoughs, croissants. She has the huge giant dough sheeter thing. I can't.
Oh,
I don't-
yeah. That's right. That's right.
A big one.
Sheeter, huh?
They're doing it the right. She's a bakery who is doing it. The true homemade way. She's probably not technically. Well, she's not technically trained, but I mean, she is making all of these doughs from scratch.
Pretty good stuff.
It's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat that we have that here.
That's awesome.
It's awesome, and I
I'll have to go check it
share an
out.
office space, and it's Well, she's open this morning too, so it's pretty cool because she does like chocolate croissants and ham and cheese. And again, it's not going to be a technical like you see in the French bakeries.
Not a Scoffier.
Yeah, I don't know. But they do a great job, and they make some really delicious things, and they put their whole heart and soul into it. Total family thing. It's really
And
cool.
I'm assuming she uses all butter in her croissants.
Oh,
and her...
all butter. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
see the
the main
giant
thing,
plates
okay.
of butter.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, it's a mountain.
It's
of butter.
about the ingredients. It really is.
It's amazing, yeah.
If you go to the grocery store, I'm not going to mention any names, but if you go to any grocery store and you get a croissant, a lot of times they're not made with butter, so they're made with this hydrogenated vegetable oil.
I
so
see
when
the
it
brick of
tastes
butter.
like that, and
Yeah.
you don't get, you need to have the butter.
It's amazing. They'll have a half sheet pan stacked with butter, softening, and then they'll make it into the sheet, right? And then I think it goes in the fridge for a while, maybe to get it.
Yep.
And then
To relax it,
and like I said, it's got the big dough sheeter.
Well, you need that because if
Yes,
you're
she
gonna,
does
you have
that.
to make a lot of production.
Yeah, she does,
So
yep.
when you do that, the best way, I call it the big batch theory. So you got
Yeah.
to make the biggest batches you can.
Yep.
When I took over the university club, because I was the chef of the university club and university catering at Mizzou for 20 years before I came down and before they recruited me. So when I came there, a lot of their food wasn't from scratch, and that's not what we do. So I don't think you can build a good reputation if you're not cooking from scratch, and putting
Yep.
your own special recipes. So I bought huge machines.
Yes.
So I went from like a 32-quart mixer to a 64-quart mixer.
Yeah.
So we would make big batches of things, and like for croissants, you make big batches of croissant dough through your sheeter,
Yep.
and you can make 100 croissants, and you can put some of them in the freezer. So you don't make them every day, but you bake them fresh every day.
Yep.
So this is how the pastry shops do it. And
that's how you have to do
You make
it.
the
Yeah.
bases, and then you put them together, and you make enough where it lasts for a few days, so you don't have to make it every day. So every day you're doing something different, and so that's how you get like a broad variety of products in your shops. I've worked in pastry shops because when I was young. I went to Europe when I was 20 years old, and I came back and I met my wife and
Beth
we,
would like
we
your website. You post it up there. He's getting
It should be in the description on the show. The link should be in there.
chefpliska.com. That's it.
Yeah.
But so when I came back, there wasn't as many there wasn't all these pastry schools and places.
Yeah.
There wasn't that many people knew how to do it. So I would work during the daytime because I was young, and then my wife and I started our family, and I would work during the daytime, and then at nighttime I would go get another job in a pastry shop. And because I had a good experience, I could get hired in New Orleans or Washington D.C. where we lived at. I could get hired all over the place, and so I worked in like more than 20 different bakeries and pastry
wow.
shops, So I've
Wow.
seen from Germans, French, and all different kinds, and I've seen a lot of different things, and that's how you do it. So the sheeter thing,
Yeah.
if you're trying to do it, like I see people at the farmers market, and I know they may not be undercapitalized or may not have the experience, but if you're trying to make these small batches, you're not going to make a living off that. You
you can't.
You think of the margins you make off that. You can't.
You're not making
you can't.
money.
No,
You're
you
just
have
not.
to. You're lucky if you're making 10 or 15%
Yeah.
off of your product. By the
I wonder
time you
about that
pay
all
for
the
everything.
time. There's a lot of trend in home baking, because there's certain laws in Missouri where you can get away with a certain amount of baking from home. And I'm like, they're not making money. I mean, there's no way. Even if you're selling a loaf of homemade sourdough for $12 or what, because it's pretty high now. I mean, if you get it at home, like at a farmer's market situation, like at the end of the day, when you factor in your time, the cost of ingredients, everything you're doing, you're really not making enough money for it to make sense.
Not
to
when you
do
put
it.
the time in there.
Yeah,
you
that's what
the
most people
time-
don't take into consideration.
That your time has a value.
I made 50 cents an hour.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, your time has an amount that it's worth, especially if you make other income that you may be losing because you're doing that. And I mean, it really isn't interesting. I love to cook. I not tend to follow recipe person. That's why I'm not big into doing desserts and pastries. I have a daughter. We've been watching the Great British Baking Show for a while.
Oh, I love that
My
show.
daughter's very curious about it. I don't have a lot of patience for the detailed, specific recipes, but she's asked, and she's like, I want to make macaroons. And I'm like, okay, we'll try it. And we did it. And honestly, our first attempt wasn't horrible. They had feet. They were too big because I didn't have the right shape to pipe into, and I had to grit my teeth and get through it. But I'm going to get a copy of your book for her because I can see in her mind a more detailed approach to wanting to do the desserts and pastries versus me, who I want to throw stuff in a pan, and I don't want to measure, and I just kind of want to go for
Well,
it.
I'm going to get a copy for my niece, Stephanie, because she's an excellent baker.
Yeah.
She does wedding cakes and stuff. She just does it from home when people ask her to, but I think she'd really enjoy that.
Yeah.
We got about 5 minutes left, Chef, and what we normally do here, and I want to make sure that you get everything said you want to say So I know there's the book, I know there's the website, I know there's OTC program, ACF Chefs I know you're involved in because that's really where we got to know each other a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And from your website, you got a lot of other stuff going on too, I see. So let's have your parting thoughts.
Well, again, I talk pretty fast, so I covered most of the things I wanted to talk about. But I'm blessed and I'm grateful. So the older I get and the wiser I try to become, I'm grateful for all the experiences and all the things that I do. So whenever I can influence other people to live better through cooking for others, cooking themselves, cooking professionally, cooking at home, eating more healthy or healthful, I guess you would say. The love of pastries. You talk about your daughter and how she's artistic and she likes to do that. And about measuring food. So I'll leave this on one parting thing. So I tell my students, I say, if you're going to leave classes and you're going to have to find recipes to cook everything, then either I didn't teach you right or you didn't learn properly, because ratios, good cooks, you can take whatever you put them in front of them, and if you know how to cook, you can cook. So it's about ratios. Now there's certain things we have to measure, and that's very important because certain things affect, like especially chemical reactions in baking, and if you put too much salt, you're going to ruin it, and so on and so forth. So, but when it comes to the ratios and understanding the ratios of how to cook, like rice, for example. Rice is 1 part rice and 1.5 to 2 parts liquid for pretty much, the majority of converted white rice or parboiled white rice, Uncle Ben's type white rice or whatever that is. So if you know that ratio, you can easily make a cup of rice, or you can make a gallon of rice, or you can make 20 gallons of rice. So, and a lot of these things are about that when you talk about the ratios and so on and so forth. So, passing on my knowledge, through ways like being able to, being asked to come and talk about it today, I feel very good about that. And I just want to get the word out there that, we're in a quick changing world. AI and all these things are happening.
Oh my gosh.
But, let's remember, the generations and the thousands and the millennia before us and what they did and how they lived. And it's the joy of cooking and the joy of appreciating good food that's very important.
Well, Beth says thank you. We want to say thank you
Chef.
for being here. And
What a fun,
My
what
pleasure.
a fun waffle.
My pleasure.
yeah, it's great. Well, we'll be back next week.
Very cool.
We don't
Thanks
know what's
for
going to
joining
happen.
us. We appreciate it very much.
Welcome.
Thanks
You're
so
welcome.
much. We'll be back next week with another waffle.
Bye,
See you
guys.
then.